Well, good morning my friends, it's KrebsCOHO here with a Company of Heroes replay! Another one! I said I was gonna be doing one tomorrow, but hey ho, it's the day after tomorrow. Oh gosh, it's the day after tomorrow! That doesn't sound good at all. How are you guys doing today? Krebs is doing well. He's recovered from his blacking out episode in the last cast. A little bit more on that in just a second. I'll introduce the players that we're gonna be watching today. We're going to be doing a 1v1 on Langres, featuring Wehr versus US. Yes, I know we need to do some more opposing fronts factions, so PE and Brits. We'll get onto that in time, but it really depends what replays I can find of high quality, and this one seems pretty decent. So today we're going to be looking at, in the Wehr quarters, whatever, RukaclGuderian. Guderian's a good player. We've also got, in the American side, aSIIJeep as, well, the US. Alright guys, so we're at the 5-second mark and we're going to be getting started in 3 seconds. So in 3, 2, 1, and let's begin. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and on we go to another very exciting matchup in the Company of Heroes battlefield. You can see where this guy Jeep is actually like putting down his rally flag. It's clicking multiple places, just adjusting it slightly. Is that going to make a huge difference? Well, apparently it must do for him if he's got nothing else to do but click his rally point flag. So anyway guys, the weirdest thing happened to me in the last cast, and if you guys haven't noticed, I don't know what's wrong with you, but I actually titled that cast Blacking Out. And literally that's what was happening with me towards the end of that cast. I think Krebs is a little bit unfit. I'll tell you that, guys. Yes, I do have quite a bit of muscles because I like going to the gym, but, you know, having muscles and that doesn't necessarily mean you're fit. One of my friends at work, one of my coworkers yesterday says, "Oh, Bernard, he's the fittest guy I know." Well, to be honest, you know, just because you can bench press and squat quite a bit doesn't mean you can actually, you're the fittest person out there. It doesn't mean you have good cardio capacity. So anyway, in that cast, I was actually blacking out towards the end. It was about 15 minutes of non-stop talking, and I guess it must be, the technical term must have been cerebral hypoxia, not getting enough oxygen to your brain. And it was just the weirdest thing ever, because I was like zoning in and out of what I could see, and I had no clue what I was talking about. I guess it was just becoming almost like subconscious in a way. And what was the weird thing was actually looking back at it afterwards and just seeing like the rubbish that I was speaking about. It was like, in order to win, you need to dodge artillery fire, you need to dodge mines. And then it was just like, what can he build from the tank depot? He can build M10s and Shermans. Oh, whoa, he's already got a M10 or Sherman, whatever. It was just so weird to actually look back at it. So Krebs is going to be trying to get a little bit more fit in these coming days here. I know there's a little bit of stuff going around the field, but it's not too much. You can see some barbed wire being put down, but nothing that important in the beginning. More barbed wire being put down, just where the choke points are, just preventing people from going into this house, preventing anyone from going behind these hay bales over here and getting green cover. And that's mostly what you can say about the early game. So whilst the still boring parts are in effect, well, I suppose there's a lot of important stuff still, but whilst it's still at a bit of a lull, I'll keep on talking. So in the meantime, what Krebs is going to do to try and improve his lung capacity, he's going to be doing some running after each gym session. And plus, I'm also going to be getting leaner at the same time. I was planning on doing that anyway. I'm not going to say I'm going on a diet. I don't know, because there's something about saying that you're going on a diet. There's just some sort of stigma. Whenever you say to somebody, or a group of friends, group of coworkers, "Hey, I'm going to be going on a diet," there's just such a stigma. They always come out with, "Oh, you don't have to go on a diet. You're absolutely fine. You're not fat." Well, if the normal perception of a diet, say, is to get back down to normal levels, say if you're a little bit of a bigger person, chunkier, you're fat, then usually a diet would be considered to get down to normal proportions, and that's what it usually is. To diet is to get down to a normal size. So what do you call something when you want to diet down to where you have little fat at all? Well, I'd probably call that a regime of some sort of food structure. So I'm going to be going on a regime to try and get myself leaner. I'm going to be trying to do some running at the end of my gym sessions, and hopefully that's going to help with not getting cerebral hypoxia. The last thing I want to do is actually completely black out and faint on a cast. That would be so freaking weird. Not only would it be an anticlimax for you, maybe it would be a climax if you got to see the webcam, but, you know, who cares? Anyway, so let's focus on the game whilst we're actually watching the game at the moment. We've got a whole bunch of riflemen coming out for the Americans, so 2 engineers with 3 riflemen following up those engineers, and so they're going to be going for a heavy rifleman strategy. Last cast we were talking about numbers of engineers and what it means. He's only gone for 2, and so that means he's probably going to be more heavily invested towards his riflemen, unless he wanted to go for a fast M8 and he was just trying to use as little manpower as possible. If that's only going to be successful if you can actually push off your opponent from the fuel points. Alright, so let's go take a look at Guderian and we'll see what he's got, because he's got a mixture of units here. He's got 2 Pioneers, 2 MGs, 2 RukaclGuderians, and a motorcycle. Interesting sort of combination of units. In fact, he's got a lot of units out to be working with in the T1 phase of Wehrmacht play. Usually people would stop from around 3 or 4 units, but he's gone total for about 5 that he's produced from the Wehrmacht quarters. I suppose the motorcycle isn't that expensive, but it's sort of nice in a way because he's got these RukaclGuderians, he's provided the normal fire support. He's got 2 MGs, where's the other one? Where's that sneaky other one? There he is. And the 2 MGs are going to help prevent any sort of flanks. That motorcycle is also going to help provide sight range, because one of the limiting factors of these MGs is their sight range, and they don't actually get improved sight range to, I believe, Vet 3. And so, before you actually get Vet 3, if you ever get Vet 3, then you need something to possibly help support that sight and see where it is, where anything is coming. Because I believe the MGs actually have a farther firing range than their actual sight range. And so if you have this complementary unit of the motorcycle providing you that sight, then, well, it works like a symphony, doesn't it? It works like a little bit of an orchestra. You got the violins up here, you got the, what else is in an orchestra? You've got the, I want to say tuba, but tuba isn't a big part of a orchestra. It's usually just 1 or 2 guys. Maybe the flutes, we could go with the flutes, alright? Yeah, comparing units to an orchestra, alright, fair enough. Yeah, keep on going, Krebs, keep on growing, keep on making up absolute rubbish. You don't have cerebral hypoxia right now, Krebs, do you? Oh, I hope not. I feel fine right now. Anyway, we've got some engineers being suppressed down over here, having to retreat. The munitions, or fuel point rather, is decapped. Let's take a look at the tactical map and see what's going on. So as you can tell on Langres, there's one medium munitions point, or should I say high munitions point over here. And then everywhere else is just medium points and smaller points. So that could be quite highly contested to go for that point, but it seems like a lot of the action usually tends to focus around the right hand side of the map, whilst this medium munitions point tends to go for the hands of a person who's down south. Alright, let's see what else is going on this field. The Americans have gone for their M8, or well, the motor pole rather. I just presume that they're going to be going for an M8, and yep, that's actually what they're going for. So they've fast-tacked up to the motor pool. How many squads do they have in total? Just 4 riflemen and 2 engineers. A very, very standard build order for early strategy for Americans, to go for 2 engineers and then 4 riflemen. Provides you probably the maximal amount of fighting force in the early phases of the game. It provides you just about enough manpower and the fuel necessary to go on up to an M8. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Because by the time you get to around 8 minutes or so like this is quite maximal time to get an M8. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. And so we've got the armored skirts and also the machine gun coming out on top of the M8 over here, just providing a bit of firepower and surviving capability, because at this point, no doubt the Wehrmacht are probably going to have some T2 coming out, so they're Kriegsbarks, and no doubt they're going to be able to get some Panzerfaust south for these RukaclGuderians, and that's going to be providing a little bit of hassle on the M8, so long as it can try to dodge those attacks. We've seen a triage center just being built. It was in one of the updates along the top left of the map. No idea how Guderian lost that squad. What is up with you, Guderian? I guess there's other things that are going on in the field, but to lose an entire squad like that, It's a bit of a micro fail if you ask me, especially a Volksgrenadier squad. That's quite important to actually take on an M8 over here. Could be indeed one of the finishing units to take it out. Usually that is what happens. It's quite rare that Volksgrenadiers take out an M8 from full health. As long as the American is playing smart, then they should be able to get their M8 out of there, if they're playing smart. In a higher level game, that's definitely the case. They'll easily get it away before it gets killed by Volksgrenadiers. So if anything, Volksgrenadiers just have a finishing role. So if a pack is out over here and it has its extra penetration damage capabilities on its first shot from Cloak, then that will do a lot of damage to the M8, whilst the Volksgrenadiers can tend to get a last Panzer fall shot on the M8 and finish it off. Look at that go! We've got some more harmony here. So we had the we were talking about a symphony, an orchestra. That motorcycle provided mass range there just for that pack to get some shots off on the M8, because he knows that is a critical part of the American strategy at the moment. That M8, that M8, that M8, that M8, that M8. So if you can destroy that, then that is, well, a bad thing for the Americans, to say the least, because that was meant to make a big difference for them. Okay, fair enough. Rather than going for another M8, we've got the Rifleman being upgraded with bars. Not a bad choice at all. Reason being, because once you get an M8, usually then your opponent, the Wehrmacht, will get some anti-tank out at that point. They'll have their Panzerfaust ready, they'll have pack ready, they might have some Panzerschrecks on their Grenadiers. And so that means some anti-tank is out. And that could mean, well, it does mean, that the Wehrmacht have invested a little bit in anti-tank, so they don't have as much anti-infantry capability. And so by having that one M8 and then instantly upgrading to some bars, you have a much better anti-infantry fighting force. And so that nicely complements each other, and so you can use those bars to get on in there and try to harass the packs, the Grenadiers, and anything like that from actually reaching the M8. So very good idea to actually go for that than another M8. Two M8s could actually work as long as you maneuver them perfectly. But then again, if you have 4 riflemen out on the field and it's only 50 fuel for bars, you know, it's a universal thing. It's going to help all your squads out in the future and your current ones as well. So you may as well just go for that. But okay, we've got the pack being stolen by Jeep over here, denying the Wehrmacht of their anti-tank. Give it back to me! Give it back! They want it back so badly, but they can't. And so the Wehrmacht are in a predicament. Their territory is being capped from all sides. They lost one of their main anti-tank units, the pack. They don't have much in terms of anti-infantry because they invested towards anti-tank. And so yeah, they're in a predicament. What do they do now? They have to work with their MGs, or they have to start thinking about, most importantly, getting some other higher tier unit to come out on the field. Because trying to work with your current units, fair enough, it might work depending on how you maneuver it, but the best option to do is start thinking about moving on to higher tiers. It becomes a little bit difficult at this point. You get some of your units die, your vital units. Do I build them again, or do I start moving on to something higher tier? And well, it really depends on what's going on in the field. If you're being totally decapped, then it might be too hard to actually go for something that's higher tier. But what Guderian has chosen to do is he's gone for his pack over here. He's gone for a second one, so now we have 2 packs on the field. One in the hands of the Americans, and one being built again by Guderian. But he is going to have to start thinking about other things, other main pushing units, higher tier units, and most specifically armored vehicles. That is usually the game changer for the Wehrmacht, going for their higher tier vehicles in the Sturm Armory and also the Panzer Command and possibly any doctoral units. Because all you can really see is a lot of this stuff for the Wehrmacht right now is just defensive capability. It really relies on the American trying to move in on him. So trying to set up a front line and then letting your opponent come to you so that you can make a counter. Here we go, we've got a Puma coming out from Guderian, T3 Sturm Armory, providing that support. Krebs, you legend, or Krebs, you leg end. I don't know. Well, probably legend because it's together. But we used to just say a joke back in school. I know it's a little bit childish, but back in school we used to call people, "Oh, you're a legend." We would call them, "Ah, you're a legend." That's not even that funny, but oh hey oh. Back when we were kids, we used to laugh a lot about it. We weren't even kids, we were teenagers. But hey ho, you know what teenagers are like. Legend, ho ho ho. Anyway. So we got the Puma out over here. Look at that, tearing apart the cover like it's just butter on a sandwich. Go away, go away, go away. Getting rid of it. Oh my gosh, the pack returning the fire on the Puma. Taking 2 shots on it. Surprisingly, usually packs or anti-tank guns in general have inaccuracy against Pumas. But okay, fair enough. Taking 2 shots there, and so it is down on a lot of health. Stu coming out on the field here. That is a doctrinal ability. So as we can tell, Guderian went for that pack to provide that support. He needed it right on the field right there and then. But he was doing as we were talking about. Start investing towards higher tier vehicles. Armored vehicles. And so he's got that Stu out, which is going to be providing anti-infantry support. And of course anti-building. You can just tell by what's going on right there. And also you got that Puma right here, providing support. But where are the Pioneers to repair this stuff? I don't think Guderian actually has any Pioneers out in the field. He's got 1. He lost 1 in another engagement here, but yeah, he's only got 1 on the field to try and repair these things. So the territory is slowly creeping up around Guderian. He's losing his territory, whilst all these men are moving on up forward. How are the Americans gonna make a big push though? It seems like a lot of their units are based off of earlier game and mid-tier game for the Americans. So they need to start thinking about moving on to a higher tier themselves, because just these units alone that they have right now probably isn't going to be enough to deal with everything that the Wehrmacht has in terms of these armored vehicles. As you can tell, they're in full retreat. They are in full retreat with the Stu tearing apart buildings, making gigantic gaping holes. Oh, that gap in that hole, in that building. It almost reminds me of, do you guys ever play the Tales of Valor campaign? With the, what do they call the campaign? Was it the Ace Tank campaign? Was it? Ace Tankers World of Tanks. Oh my gosh, look at all those kills from one Stu. But I was also saying, did you guys ever play that one? Oh, I can't remember. It was the Tales of Valor one where you play as the tank and you can use direct fire and such. Basically what happens is that you can upgrade this tank so much throughout the campaign that it becomes ridiculous. It fires literally, like the Tiger fires every 1 second, and it does a ridiculous amount of damage. It basically has like a Stu shot every time. And so what will happen when you aim on a building is that it will tear down a building, make these gigantic holes like this every few seconds. And it will just tear down a building in literally like 5 seconds. It's ridiculous, but I guess that's why people love the campaign so much. Maybe. So as I was saying, these American early tier units and mid tier units aren't going to be enough to take on these Stus and such. So they need to start thinking about getting some later things to take it on, like possibly a tank depot or doctrinal stuff. Really depends what they've gone for. So let's head on over to aSIIJeep and see what he's gone for. Well, that kind of explains it. He's gone for his Armor Company Doctrine, alright? The one thing about the Armor Company Doctrine is that it's quite insufficient early on and mid-game until it actually reaches the end of the line on that doctrine. Because you don't really get anything entirely useful until you've gotten to the Pershing or the Calliope. Everything along the way is just sort of passive, or it can be used when you have a lot of tanks, which you don't really have in mid-game. You don't really get lots of tanks and M10 spam or whatever until the end game when you have that fuel and such available. So, okay, we don't have anything out, and that explains why the Americans are just working with this early mid-tier sort of build, which is actually putting them at a little bit of a disadvantage right now. And that is why the Wehrmacht are able to push back on them. If they had airborne, for example, if they had an infantry doctrine, they could start thinking about, oh guys, get out of there. You shouldn't go into a burning pit of fire. Alright, well they couldn't walk the coal. They couldn't walk the coals. Instead they just died on the coals. Alright.
The Axis are
But as I was saying, if they went for infantry doctrine or airborne doctrine, they would probably get out some airborne squads or ranger squads, use that fire up ability, and start flanking these Stus and Pumas. And most importantly, if you have fire up, you can easily dodge these shots of the Stu. Like in the last cast I was saying, it takes a long time. It almost floats through the air before it can hit anything. There you go, look at that, it just floats through the air. So with fire up, it gives you plenty of time to actually dodge those shots. And so that would be helping the Americans a lot. Plus also another nice thing about airborne is that you don't even need a motor pull in effect, because you can just get AT guns from there. You have all your anti-tank support from airborne doctrine anyway. Infantry doctrine, you could get howitzers and start harassing your very, very defensive Wehrmacht that still has MGs and packs and stuff. Because even though the Stu is the main, you know, damaging force at the moment, look at that, he's got 26 infantry kills right now. He still needs support. He still needs those AT guns, the MGs there, to provide him support. And if you went for howitzers and such with infantry doctrine and you could take out that stuff, well, Stu could actually become easy work to kill. Spare time for a game? We're doing casts. I am doing a cast at the moment, Simon! You'll probably find out when you actually watch this replay. Puma is out of control, but since he's had a destroyed engine, he's gonna take his time. I'm gonna take a stroll. Okay, maybe not. I'm gonna take a stroll before I die. There's this, I believe in a previous cast, I remember I was telling you guys this one video that I remember watching about this zombie Ostwind. It was basically the same sort of thing. Damaged engine, or destroyed engine, taking his time to be destroyed, so he was out of control. And he was basically just destroying the entire Brit's base, because nothing could destroy it. He was destroying the entire Brit's base, the emplacements, the infantry. But the funny thing is, the Brits didn't realize they could have just taken their Stuart and just moved it in front until the very end, after a bunch of emplacements were destroyed. Okay, Hellcat is out on the field to try and combat the Stu, but as I was saying, you got those supporting units there, the pack. If the pack wasn't there, then the M18 would have pretty much free roam. So when Puma went down and another is out on the field, we've got immobilized Hellcat. It was already down a lot on health already. And so, by that pack. And so, landing on a stray mine and mobilizing it completely. And that is the pack just coming in, trying to get its final shots. And look at that, Puma probably providing some sight there, and destroyed gun. Oh my gosh, right in the side armor. Again, right in the side armor, and not finished off. What's going on? What? Come on, man! Take your time. Oh my god. That should have been finished off in the first shot, but taking your freaking time. 3 shots not even doing anything there. Not finishing it off, but okay. And we got an AT gun destroying the main gun of the Puma, and that's going to be it. Gone. Oh no! Evil victory point. Evil, not victory point. Evil strategic point. Getting in the way. Move your fat arse. Okay. Okay, Krebs, calm down. Calm down. Alright, so this pack gonna go down, taking some final shots off on the rifleman. Nebelwerfer over here at Vet 1. To be honest, Vet doesn't really do that much for Nebelwerfers apart from reducing the reload time or the cooldown rate on its barrage. It provides it like a bit of, you know, like support, health and whatever else. It's hard to kill. But that's about it. I mean, your Nebelwerfer isn't meant to take direct fire anyway. It's supposed to be safely behind lines. So if anything, Vet's going to really help its reload time. But the nice thing about it is that it's support Vet. So the support Vet helps all your support units. So that includes your MG42s, your mortars, snipers, whatever else. And so the MG42 has a very, I can't even stress it enough, has a very nice Vet 1 bonus. In fact, a lot of times people recommend to actually just get Vet 1 on your support infantry if you have a few MGs out. If you have 2 MGs out, even possibly a 1 MG, getting that one single support veterancy is very nice. Reason being is because it helps the, let me get this right, it increases the fire rate by 25%, or no, accuracy. It increases the accuracy by 25%, and reduces the reload time by 25%, which is great. So not only are you going to be more accurate, you're also going to be firing more frequently, which can be one of the most frustrating things for Wehrmacht MGs, is that sometimes what will happen, you'll have squads coming towards you, and your MG won't be shooting. It'll be taking his time freaking reloading because you only had like 1 round left in the clip. You can't reload him. A very big frustration of mine in actually Company of Heroes is that fact. You can't reload your MGs and such. It's so frustrating indeed. Alright, Stu going in for... oh no, why did he do that?
Enemy unit down.
Stu went in for a brute force assault on these anti-tank guns. I guess he wants to go through the middle line and get his pioneers in there to just harass them, but that was pretty dumb, to be honest, because what can happen with two packs is that they can go into a crisscross pattern. So one squad, one unit, one pack or anti-tank gun can face one way and the other one can face the other way, and thus basically covering each other's backs. And so no matter which direction that Stu goes in, well, it's fucked. And so that's what happened to that Stu. It got absolutely screwed over. Alright, so that is the tide of the war reversing, and that is the Pershing out on the field for the Americans right now. Look at that go! Look at that thing go! Pershing being built in response to Tigers in real life to help combat that, because the Americans didn't have that much to actually counter the Tiger. Very, very powerful tank the Tiger was. And so that is the Pershing out on the field here. And, well, what can we say about it? What are the Americans going to bring out? Well, or the Wehrmacht going to bring out? Well, they got packs. But most importantly, they've also got the Blitzkrieg Doctrine. So they are only 1 CP away. They are half a CP, rather, away from getting their Tiger out. And that is going to be the main thing to combat this Pershing at this point, because we don't even have a Panzer Command, and all he's doing is just holding off against this Pershing. There's nothing they can really do. They don't have really any other units. They've got some capping units, and that is about it. Just harassing. What do the Americans have apart from this Pershing? They've got those anti-tank squads, but what happened to all the riflemen? I think that's only 2 riflemen left on the field. I remember seeing 1 rifleman squad die on retreat because they landed on the mine. A single guy. So I guess they must have all fell down to a similar fate. And so the Pershing is the main contender, main contador at the moment on the field for the Wehrmacht. And, well, yeah, the Wehrmacht, I guess, are just probably saving up that manpower necessary to get out that Tiger as soon as they're able to. What is it, 800 manpower to call out a Tiger? But most importantly, what they need is to actually get some freaking experience so they can actually get out the Tiger in the first place. Because in order to gain experience, you have to kill stuff, you have to destroy stuff, you have to build stuff. Otherwise, you're going to have to rely on your very slow and steady, gradual income of experience. Yes, you do get a gradual income. You'll notice that it slowly increases, bit by bit by bit, but it's very slow. The majority comes from actually destroying units and killing and so on and so forth, as what I was saying. Is that a Goliath? I can hear those little wheels going. Yeah, it's a little Goliath here. Oh, no! No. That is 125 munitions wasted like that. Oh, no. Oh, dear. Yeah. I guess that's what happens when the rifleman or your opponent retreats. It just doesn't kill as effectively. It's most important to have a dumb opponent who doesn't realize, or that micro is poor, or just try to camouflage your Goliath, right? Anyway, what was I going to say? Yeah, one of the things that defines the Blitzkrieg Doctrine is actually a lack of artillery and anything to spend your munitions on. So sometimes people who play the Blitzkrieg Doctrine will be a little bit affected, saying, oh, how will I spend my munitions? I can build mines, I can use that, whatever, I can build mines, but I'm still going to have quite a bit of a surplus. So The only other things that you can really spend your munitions on is, of course, upgrades. You could get Goliath. You could spend it on, oh my god. You could spend it on assault grenades, which is quite expensive, 50 munitions, but that's not really that great unless your opponent blobs up, especially if they're Brit players. It's very effective against Brit players. But one thing that a lot of people highly underestimate is actually, well, one of the most underused units in the entire game. The officer. Okay, the officer can actually call on his own mortar barrage. He can call on off-map. Oh dear, not a pineapple. Wow, those guys are definitely asking for it. He can actually call on his own off-map artillery. It's concentrated mortar barrage, and that's 125 munitions, or 150, I think, munitions. But that's if you actually build the officer, and I don't think he's that expensive, about 240 manpower, and so you can use the munitions for that, and it's always possible, because if you go for Blitzkrieg, you'll have the manpower blitz. It'll tend to be that you'll have a manpower surplus, and so you can always go for an officer and use the officer's abilities. So not only to supervise, but to also use forced retreat on a enemy squad. Also to use off-map artillery. You could even build 2 officers, if anything. And officers have a nice thing about them, where they actually have the same detection radius as a motorcycle. So if your opponent has a lot of snipers, your officer can actually detect snipers with the same radius as a motorcycle. Very nifty, and plus the officer has heroic armor, allowing them to survive a shot from a sniper. They're killed within 2 shots from a sniper, unless they get Vet 3. Then they can survive 2 shots and die on the 3rd. So, you know, if you have 2 officers, it's always maybe a good idea. But that's if people use it. I think it's probably a highly underused thing. People don't go for it. It's an underdog unit. But I'm sure somebody could make a strategy out of it if they wanted to. But anyway, that is a good game. We saw the Tiger go out on the field there and taken out very, very promptly. And that is it. GG down for aSIIJeep. Well done to you, sir, for winning. You got a Vet 3 Pershing. That is the ultimate trophy for the Americans, a Vet 3 Pershing. So where could the Wehrmacht have gone differently? Probably just not being as stupid, I guess. Well, it's a very, very fine game indeed. The gameplay has to be very precise and exact. To lose one unit here and there is a crucial mistake. So we saw the Volksgrenadier squad go down early on. We saw Pat go down early on and given to the Americans. We saw a Stu stupidly go down. Yeah, a Stu stupidly go down. And those things are very critical in terms of success. So losing these vital units can be part of your downfall. And so that is what happened, and unfortunately that is the Wehrmacht having to learn from it the hard way. I suppose you should have anticipated Pershing coming out in the field. You need to keep that AT alive. The naval Werfers are very, very useful. They're very useful units indeed. But I think they were maybe were a little bit maybe lacked a little bit this game, because there were tons of riflemen that were flanking from different directions. Maybe they lacked a bit, but you know, slight changes to the strategy and just the micro could have actually made the Wehrmacht win this game. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this cast, and I know you're going to be happy now because this was a decent enough game, don't you think? Okay, guys, so until next time. Oh, look at that mine. Sneaky, sneaky right in front of the Cree barracks. Until next time, guys, I will catch you all later.
Right, here we go. 3, 2, 1.